Thank you so much once again for joining us. This is news, UBC News at 10 o'clock. My name is Patricia Lukoma Mpango, once again to bring you what's making headlines. Now, straight away into the bulletin. President Museveni, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, gave a lecture this afternoon to 32 Zimbabwean soldiers at State House in Entebbe. In his lecture, he emphasized the 4 principles of the national resistance movement on prosperity. He informed the course participants that these principles are what Africa needs to achieve prosperity.
All in all, it consisted of 72 students, and it was divided into 4 groups. One group is the one which is here visiting Uganda. The other group is visiting Cote d'Ivoire, the other one Equatorial Guinea, and the other one is in Tanzania. Thank you, sir.
The good thing is who will buy what you produce sustainably? Uganda. So, because they are asleep, why do you have to eat food from Ukraine? Many of you are refugees from here who are comfortable, and you die peacefully in your to go somewhere and spend the night there. 800 million liters. So the supply production is now like maybe 700,000 tons. There is no market. So cement, steel products, everything for our prosperity. We call that? We call it Pan-Africanism.
Brought to us in the form of aid, aid with the conditions which are un-African, in the form of maybe homosexuality. Thank you, Excellency.
Africa can buy what East Africa. But there is the second mission, historic mission, was strategic security. Because if you solve the problem of wealth, the problem of prosperity, they give you conditions because you are not prosperous. That's how they give you conditions. They give you conditions because you are not able. Here, they try to give us conditions, but we ignore them. Because Uganda will manage with or without aid. We don't have. They cut something. I don't even remember what they were trying to do. Then they said they had removed us from the list of AGOA. You know AGOA? One thing. So it's not strength. We have strength. At that time, our strength was ours, plus the support we were getting from the socialist countries. The weapons were coming from China, from Soviet Union. So the first issue is to deal with issues of prosperity, which you must handle correctly. If you handle it correctly, there is no way. If Uganda doesn't need anything the only thing we need from outside now is petroleum, but soon we shall be having our own petroleum. We shall be exploiting so we really need nothing except our African brothers.
Now, Uganda Police Force has clarified the allegations of theft of the official car for the Inspector General of Police. In a press statement, police spokesperson ACP Roshoke Kituma labeled the information as false. But of course, before we get to that story, first President Yoweri Museveni has called on cultural leaders to promote the culture of hard work and decency among their subjects. Speaking through the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, at a Silver Jubilee coronation anniversary of His Royal Highness Kwar Adola Moses Stephen Awar in Toro District, President Yoweri Museveni praised the cultural institution for its progress and victories over the years. President Museveni congratulated His Royal Highness Kwar Adola Moses Stephen Awar on his Silver Jubilee and thanked God for his wisdom and provision. The event was attended by various dignitaries, including cultural leaders from Kenya and Uganda, clergy, politicians, and NRM officials, among others.
That medal of the hero of Kadola.
When you do near day, I want to thank all the people of Japadola and this region for respecting our cultural leader. I have come here many times, but I have recognized that from civil servants, religious leaders, all the civil society, they pay allegiance and give the Kwar Adola his due respect. I thank you very sincerely. Your Highness, this ceremony is a ceremony that speaks volumes. I have seen a number of cultural leaders from other areas within Uganda and outside Uganda. A clear demonstration that the colonial boundaries are already demystified. So, Your Highness, we must return from this ceremony when we are very, very convinced that we are one people as Africa. And therefore, I call upon the people of Japadola here in Toro and the Teso to recognize that unity is first and foremost the most paramount principle that should be embraced in order for us to achieve development.
Your Highness, we have been advocating for poverty eradication amongst our people towards self-reliance and sustainability through different government programs like Operation Wealth Creation, Emioga, Parish Development Model, all working towards changing the lives of Ugandans by banishing poverty out of households. We can no longer entertain the system of just a few Ugandans participating in the money economy. Your Highness, I therefore call upon all stakeholders in cultural institutions and key players, especially leaders in the communities, to be preachers of NRM gospel, of hard work and attaining self-reliance in our homes and across the country. Let us raise a generation of integrity in order to banish corruption and support peaceful living. Your Highness, I urge the cultural leaders to preserve our culture of hard work and decency, which will propel the nation and Africa to the next level, rather than embracing cultures of shame and prestige and prejudice from the Western world. I applaud you for always supporting the NRM and encourage you to participate in the NRM skilling programs of the youth organized by both leaders and the government. I congratulate Your Royal Highness, the Kwar Adola Moses Stephen Award, upon celebrating of this silver jubilee and pray the Almighty God to grant you good health and wisdom to enable you perform your duties. And I also congratulate the Japadola people upon celebrating this day and wish all of you happy celebration. I thank you. And with me is an envelope which His Excellency the President enclosed with 30 million Uganda shillings, which I would like to request for your permission to hand over to the appropriate authority for further management.
1, 2, 3.
Congratulations indeed. Now, the Uganda Police Force has clarified the allegations of theft of an official car for the Inspector General of Police. In a press statement, police spokesperson ACP Roshoke Kituma labeled the information as false and misleading, affirming that the IGP's official vehicle remains secure.
The police force firmly asserts that this information is both inaccurate and exaggerated. The IGP's official vehicle remains secure and has not been compromised. The vehicle involved in the reported theft is not the official car of the IGP. What transpired was the theft of a police single cabin pickup registered as UP 00135, which operates as a service van. Following this incident, a comprehensive investigation was initiated, resulting in the recovery of the stolen car and the arrest of a suspect. The investigation is ongoing and additional details will be provided at an appropriate time. The Uganda Police Force will continue to keep the public informed of any developments related to this case.
Now, the members are pursuing the removal of the 4 backbench commissioners of Parliament are worried of the delay by the presiding officer to consider the motion for debate. This follows the completion of a threshold for the required signatures to the notice of censure, which was successfully forwarded to the clerk of Parliament on 5th August 2024. The members, led by Theodore Sechikubo, the Luimiaga County MP, and Elion Odiria, the Aringa South MP, are losing patience as their days are numbered.
A round of activities has of recent taken stage at the Parliament of Uganda. Regional sittings as scheduled by the 11th Parliament have already been advanced amid contention from a section of the members of the House. The Parliamentary Committee on Government Assurance, headed by Mityana woman MP Joyce Bagalantwata, is in the northern region to, among others, track down the process of the compensation of the war claimants in the West Nile and other areas.
Our duty as a committee is to write a report, and that is part of the engagement, because members thought that instead of Parliament coming to northern Uganda, that money should be given to them. Our duty is simply to put that in our committee, and then Parliament will be tasked with the duty of considering that proposal by the members or the war claimants. So our duty is to gather all that information and to put it in the report.
The parliamentary regional sitting is to kickstart in Gulu Kaunda grounds on 29th and 30th August 2024 with a budget which some members of parliament deemed as wastage expenditure. This has come at a time when Parliament is striving to clean its hands on corruption allegations.
So our effort is to complement that of the President, to fight corruption wherever it is, and the struggle begins with you wherever you are. So if you want to measure the temperatures of corruption in the country, you look at the parliamentary thermometer. You look at the thermometer and then you can gauge the heat and the temperature in the country.
Rwemiaga County MP Theodorus H. Kubo and Aringa South MP Alion Yok Odiria have expressed worries that the marathon activities of Parliament might overtake the chances of debating the censure motion against the 4 backbench commissioners of Parliament who are accused of turning 1.7 billion shillings into a mouth-watering cash bonanza.
Members, as they go for their weekend, we thought by now the Speaker would have issued a notice informing all members of Parliament that in accordance with Rule 110 of the Rules of Procedure, this is to notify members of Parliament that Parliament shall be sitting on this and this date to consider a petition for the removal of 4 commissioners of Parliament.
They are planning to send members away for trips. And yet in this Parliament we have members of Parliament who have arrears of trips, money not being paid. You can imagine the members of Parliament having arrears in trips over 200 million.
The MPs who presented the motion to the clerk to Parliament after acquiring the required signatures on the notice of censure motion cite that the 14 days to have the debate on the motion are running out.
You want to go to northern Uganda, take away the members from us. You're planning to spend 5 billion in a region. What special message are you going to send in northern Uganda?
We assure Ugandans that we are ready to deliver on that promise.
The 4 backbench commissioners include Matthias Mpuga, Esther Foyechan, Solomon Sirwanyi, and Prosia Kampurira.
This fight cannot stop.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Now, citizens from the East African community member states have been urged to embrace the idea and concept of the integration of the East African community, a dream of the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere, one of the founding fathers of the East African community. This was relayed by the current and former representatives of the East African Legislative Assembly, Major General retired Mugisha Muntu and James Kakoza, respectively.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki.
As Pan-Africanists prepare to celebrate 25 years since the revival of the East African community and the life and legacy of the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere with a special visit to his ancestral home in Butiama, Tanzania, the president of Alliance for National Transformation and also former EALA representative Major General retired Mugisha Muntu shared moments about the late Nyerere's legacy.
Julius Kambarage Nyerere left a positive legacy. A legacy that needs to be celebrated, a legacy that should enable those who are interested in governance, not only in this region but on the African continent, to copy.
Even when the East African community was formed on the integration and rationalization of a common currency, common market and same political ideologies among the member states, Mugisha Muntu asserts that this hasn't materialized.
When you integrate an economy, and it is that huge, the economic potential that there is would lead to creation of jobs, would lead to industrialization, would lead to investments, unless we focus on one, growing the economies in the individual countries, but also integrating the economies of the countries, in this case 8, for a larger market.
He, however, wasn't hesitant to challenge the delays in the integration process.
Mindset at the political leadership in all the countries. Because the business of government ordinarily is to invest or create an environment in which services are delivered to people. Whether the political elite are part of the leadership at the regional level or not. That's the knot that has to be untied. And it cannot be untied until we get leaders in the political elite of all these countries who understand the benefit of integration from the perspective of the citizen and the countries. Then that knot will have been broken. Before that, it will just simply be stories, as I notice now.
With the rampant economic protests arising from unfriendly tax policies and laws among the 3 original East African member states, and the trade imbalances despite the new trade policies, the current legislator at IARA, James Kakoza, reviewed IARA's interventions.
There is what we call sovereignty. Actually, in the treaty, there is where a president finds a hiccup, he can call his colleagues. He sits with the heads of summit to discuss the internal mechanisms. This survives on contributions from partner states. Others are contributing and others are not contributing. We had forwarded a solution that anybody accessing within the East African community, they must be at source. You must contribute $1 to avoid an alternative mechanism of financing.
The legacy of the late Nyerere will be commemorated under the theme.
As young people from the East African community, we sat down and came up with an idea that as the process takes place, we need to reflect on the enduring legacy and the values of Mwalimu Nyerere.
I'm Ivan Juko.
Now, representatives of medical interns, backed by legal team from Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, CHRD, have threatened to sue government over the delayed deployment of over 1,500 qualified medical interns. Their worries were made at media center briefing held in Kampala.
Over the past years, government has been on loggerheads with the medical internees due to job approvals and endorsements. Coupled with a long of habitual deployment crisis, this has created a heated battle across the country, prompting the August House to intervene. However, according to the representatives of medical internees, their outcry has never yielded any fruit, exacerbating the situation and putting lives of Ugandans at stake. The disgruntled team was concerned by staffing gaps and the growing trend of reducing the number of medical internees year in, year out.
Issued invitations to us, telling us we should go to our mother councils and apply for licenses, provisional licenses that will be allowing us to do internship. And Ministry of Health is out there creating a notion that they have been given so many graduates that they cannot take in, they cannot absorb into their system. And when they do so, they make someone who doesn't question think that actually we are already safe in Uganda. We have already enough numbers of medical doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and dentists.
So it can't be when they are ready to get deployed that they are being told there's no money, because who is planning and who is responsible?
They demanded for revision and adjustments in policies, among other concerns.
This delay constitutes a violation of the right to health. Every Ugandan has the right to access quality healthcare services, and this right is directly impacted by the availability of adequate medical personnel.
And we have been the shock absorbers for this, the interns. When we come in, we are the ones who cover those gaps. We come in and give services to Ugandans, where Ministry of Health can actually not deploy enough people to cater for those services. So when they don't deploy us, it means that living lives of Ugandans in a very dire state. It means that there's no one who's going to be attending to those patients who have been surviving on our skills and our providence of the services that we render, having studied in universities.
Backed up by a legal team from CHRD, they threatened to file a suit against the government in response to meeting gaps of medical internees.
So to prevent the reoccurrence of this habitual crisis, we demand the following. One, that the government should immediately avail the funds needed to deploy these medical interns as a matter of urgency for the reasons given above. And secondly, that the government should immediately effect and expand the internship training centers, and we highly recommend private medical facilities beyond the government centers and those private non-profit medical facilities. We know that there are many, many more medical facilities in this country that have the capacity to accommodate or take in interns.
Deborah Namamonde, Ivan Juko, UBC News.
Now over to Buliisa district, where the news now is about the significant land dispute involving allegations of illegal evictions, torture and deprivation of rights of residents by powerful individuals, including businessman Kahwa, for instance.
The issue traces back to February 1st, 2003, when President Museveni asked the residents of Boma Wantembo to give land for establishment of the UPDF Marine Barracks, which they did, receiving a token of appreciation of 550,000 Ugandan shillings per household.
And the president was thankful and gave a casimo to each family. The amount has been indicated there. Now, the next thing was for these people to get titles on their land. What has happened? Strange people came and instead got titles. In the process of seeing the Chief Justice on many other things required in cases of land, what we say, we shall see him so that he constitutes a special session for Buliisa in particular this land.
However, after the discovery of oil in the Albertine Graben in 2010, tensions escalated as wealthy individuals, allegedly in collaboration with military and court officials, began evicting residents to claim the land.
Many vulnerable people, poor people, for over 10 years have been deprived, denied their lands through threats, intimidation, as you have heard, scare and often taken to the courts of law.
Key military figures and a businessman, Kahwa Francis, have been accused of the alleged abuse of their power to intimidate, imprison and evict the locals.
To be evicted from our own land.
People cannot afford lawyers, and because they cannot afford the lawyers, many of them don't even appear in court physically. Even those who appear, they appear when they have no legal representatives, and definitely chances are very high that you will lose because you cannot argue a case very convincingly.
The residents have sought help from government officials, including State Minister for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, who ordered the arrest of Gisoro Gonjeza Hannington and initiated a search for those involved in these illegal activities.
Yes, sio Gisonu. Kakati dipi so msajo no mukwati. The titles which Kahwa got are all a nullity. Therefore, by law, they are cancelled. And I said that I'm going to follow it by letter. And there are others apart from Kahwa. All those titles, by law, they stand cancelled. In the course of that eviction, he's threatening violence. Number 3, in the course of that, he has forced himself on their land, forceful entry. Trespass, he has spoiled their property. That's malicious damage. So all these charges are available. So they let him be arrested.
Local leaders, including Chakumanyi Dewo and District Vice Chairman Gilbert Tivasanga, have called for thorough investigations and protections of the residents' rights.
That in handling this matter, we actually scrutinize each piece of each transaction by transaction.
Senior Presidential Advisor Fiona Barungi has reassured the community that the matter will be reported to the President.
The tears that I have seen these old women and men cry, arrested.
The situation remains tense, with ongoing investigations and a call for justice against the accused parties.
Uganda National Roads Authority UNRA has clarified on the delays of construction of some roads, especially the connection routes. UNRA spokesperson Alan Sempe says the key issue that caused the delays was mainly financial constraints, compensation of projects affected persons, and the reduction in technical team.
Uganda National Roads Authority has a number of road construction and maintenance projects ongoing and others pending completion across the country. In Kampala Metropolitan in particular are projects like maintenance of Chalwajala, Chira, Kasanga, Timatuga Road, which is currently ongoing. Others include connection roads like the Bombo and Jinja Highway, Nakauka Masaka Road and Busega Mpiji, among others. These also include improvement of some key junctions to enhance traffic flow within and around Kampala and Wakiso district. The projects are all funded by the government of Uganda. UNRA spokesperson Alan Sempebwa clarified on the delays of some projects, citing financial constraints, land acquisition and reduction in the size of the technical team.
The COVID-19 pandemic a few years ago, it affected the whole building and construction sector, by the way. What that meant that we had to scale down on operations, we had to encamp workers, and we were working with only skeletal staff. That also delayed works. That's why you see that some of the projects like Najana Kubi Busabala, Kiraka Sanga Timatuga, we are now taking a steady pace, but we've delayed a bit, and we acknowledge the delays. You know, the other delay has been because of the funding. We've not had adequate funding from government.
He says the authority is up to ensure that the projects are completed on time and are at the international standards amidst tight funding. This was during the 3rd Uganda Buildcom International Expo that brought together a number of exhibitors from across the construction sector, where UNRA is taking part.
So we are happy that the country is a construction site, and now that also underpins the reason why we are here today.
The 3rd Uganda Buildcom International Expo is the leading international exhibition in Uganda focused on the building and the construction industry. The expo brought together the industry professionals and stakeholders to converge and explore the latest trends, innovation and opportunities in the building and construction sector.
PVC tiles are very eco-friendly. They sit into the green initiative of today's sustainable world. They are reusable and recyclable. We actually manufacture them partially using recycled plastic.
David Basil, a young entrepreneur, is one of those who ventured into manufacture of eco-friendly tiles using recycled plastic. Under Modern Floors company, Basil has plans to partner with the Ministry of Environment to save the ecosystem and also partner with the youth for business growth.
We also plead to the authorities such as the Ministry of Environment. We can always have a sit down and definitely partner and introduce this eco-friendly flooring, which in the long term goes to save the environment and the world as a whole.
Shibam Uganda, the manufacturers of glass and aluminium products, believe that using aluminium for construction will solve the health and environmental issues that are negatively affecting the country.
Glass shower cabin to balcony glasses, glass curtain wall, glass office partitioning.
Uganda Buildcom exhibition, expected to end on Saturday, has been held under the theme Building the Future Together, showcasing a commitment to sustainable development and collaboration within the construction industry. Susan Naonga reporting for EBC TV.
Now, Friday Jummah prayers at Ntinda Salam Mosque began with a sermon led by Imam Mohammed Abdul Latif Kayanja. In his sermon, he expressed concern over the increasing prevalence of inhuman acts such as adultery.
Turns his back against the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever amongst you turns his back against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is going to bring from amongst you a group of people, a small group of people. يُحِبُّونَهُمْ. Those people will be loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُحِبُّونَ. Those people will be so much in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أذلة على المؤمنين, so soft and humble towards the believers. أعزة على الكافرين, so hard and difficult to the disbelievers. يجاهدون في سبيل الله, they strive in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their lives and their wealth. ولا يخافون لومة لائم, they won't be in fear of any blame of anyone who wants to blame. Yeye nini yabade tamara ade ba musudde Nenakoze okunoonyereza. You have to know this. Nakoze okunoonyereza lwaki ng'ayina cases ya handlinga nga zirimu abanene abalowooza nti bali waggulu bw'amateeka ag'e Uganda. Tuyabaluma mateeka bwe gabakwatirayo n'agubasalira innama taqdi hadhihi alhayata dunya. You are not the supreme judge. So kubeera nga bakakasa abalamuzi abo ne babeera nga bainfluencinga bamafia manyi ne bagale bakulembera bayeevu bainfluencinga nga otajja kutuweereza bulungi ne bamugjaku era wiiki ejja agenda kufuluma office. Allah ayina endagaano gye yatulagira obutavaako nga kwe kuyumba Oluganda. Olwaleero ani ayumba Oluganda? Ani ayumba Oluganda olwaleero? هم رضوان الخلفاء الراشدون منهم أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك.
Minister of State for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs Kabuyecho Fatogavye, together with GIPE Africa International, have sensitized Mukono leaders on the physical development plan to see Mukono elevate into a modern city.
The meeting was attended by leaders at various levels, including local council chairpersons in Mukono Central and Goma divisions, which make up Mukono municipality. Minister Kabuyecho Fatogavye said the structure would address problems such as poor housing, traffic congestion, environmental protection, among others.
Now we discovered one of the challenges affecting the entities, first of all, is on the side of infrastructure, which is we are trying to address the connectivity issues, we are trying to address the mobility issues, then of course the labor issues, work for the youth, then workspaces for again communities.
Fatogavye is optimistic the physical development plan will be extended to all cities across the country to meet the national development plan goals.
Discover that whatever we do is being jeopardized by uncoordinated plans. So we're here to integrate the plans. It doesn't mean that the entities are not going to do their plans. The entities are going to do their plans, but as long as whatever plan you do must fit, the word is shall, which means must fit into the general plan, which will include aspects of amenities, including sewage and other things, of course, like society issues, spaces for different social amenities like schools, like water sources, like workspaces, markets. Gonna do those days and times where we just find markets all over the roads and so on.
According to a recent survey conducted by GIPE Africa International, 99% of Mukono residents pollute the environment.
Kala ya brown amazzi agandi badde mu ntobazi gandi badde nga gali purified nga gasengejjebwa ne kati nga bwe gava eri n'ettaka lyayo n'ebisaaniko gakola ki agenda.
Christine Nantongo from GPA said Mukono City still faces many challenges, especially the trade order, as most of the vendors are selling on the streets. Local leaders discussed the ideas and gave their views about the physical development plan. Amaiva Njuko and Patrick Chewalabye for UBC.
And over to West Nile, Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Kano retired Tom Butime, has raised concerns over the lack of accountability of the revenue sharing from Murchison Falls National Park.
Uganda Wildlife Authority has disbursed 3.15 billion shillings to the 6 districts neighboring Murchison Falls National Park. The funds were raised from the 20% of each entrance to the park through Uganda Wildlife Authority and remitted to the host districts of the park for livelihood of those in the protected area. Buliisa district took the lion's share, amounting to 810 million shillings, with Chiriandongo receiving 746 million. Nuoya district got 715 million shillings. shillings. Pakwach was given 360 million shillings. Masindi received 297 million shillings. And 220 million shillings given to Oyam district.
Our presence here is a demonstration that wildlife conservation significantly contributes to the well-being of the people who neighbor the protected areas, leading to economic development of the regions hosting these protected areas.
While addressing the local government officials, the Minister for Tourism, Tom Butime, noted that while the park has generated billions of shillings in the recent past, the impact of the funds has not been felt among communities. The Minister, who was in company of officials from Uganda Wildlife Authority, cautioned the leaders to ensure the funds in question reach the communities for whom it is intended.
The funds, accountability. There is no cow who does not understand the word accountability. And so we really rely on the chief agriculture officers to do the accountability.
He instructed RDCs and chairpersons of the beneficiary districts to do close monitoring of the funds, since it's a grant with strings attached.
Honorable Minister, we also have some little policy question over this money. This money, in essence, belongs to communities who are surrounding the park. And sometimes, because of pressure, local governments around the park do apply the money on things that should have been done by OA.
The Executive Director, Uganda Wildlife Authority, noted that 95% of the funds should directly go to the community projects, while the local governments retain only 5% for monitoring.
As you move around the villages that neighbor Murchison Falls, there are things you can see that show who has been here.
Noya district leaders applauded Uganda Wildlife Authority for the great work in generating revenue, but further called for intended action against illegal poaching. Since 2003, the government has so far collected 22.9 billion shillings, including the 3.15 billion shillings for financial year 2022-2023, out of which 19.7 billion shillings benefited the host communities.
MTN! Hey, tusako Hajaruna Mbiru live in concert Friday nga mwenda August. Hajaruna Mbiru huyo! Kusenda Hotel Rockta nunga mwenda August. Monshoja atumia Hajaruna Mbiru live in concert. VIP ya mtualo 15. Tokawa jigula kumomo ya mtualo 10. Hatemeze ya milioni 3. Nyiga kamunyenye. Emo mkaga 5 kamunyenye 20 kadara. Oba downloading ya momo app. Ogule ticket ku sente ntono. Nga 10 August. Tolini hotel Mukono. Ticket ya shinzo mtualo 10. Boa jigulango kosa momo. Jigulango 15. VIP mtualo 3. Nga 10 August. Maria Frema Saka. Shinze mtualo 2. Boa jigulango kosa momo ya mtualo 10. VIP mtualo 5. Ate momo. Mtualo 3 na chitundu. Bitege kedwa keti events. Urone biwagirwa.
MTN. Together, we're unstoppable.
Ngalu, ngalu, ngalu.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
Uganda fire! Ediba fire! Our border fire! Uganda! Thank you for showing your fire! Has Nambole Stadium opened its doors once again? Fire! Why you are one movie in wet? You were the 12th player. When Uganda Greens needed you the most. Fire! Fire! Through our famous wins against Tupakunda and our unlucky losses, you stood firm, supporting even louder. Fire! Fire! Now, as as Uganda Cranes take on South Africa and Congo this September, South Sudan in October, and play our second legs against South Africa and Congo in November. Bring even more fire! Because with your support, Uganda Cranes is unstoppable! Uganda Fire! Proudly brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Uganda Cranes. Together, we are unstoppable.
Welcome back from that short break, and of course we're heading for the world of business, where government has pledged to support both local and foreign companies that have shown interest in adding value to local foods. The pledge has been made by State Minister for Luweero Rwenzori Triangle, Alice Kaboyo, together with Buliisa District Women Legislator Diana Mutasingwa.
President Yoweri Museveni has over the time advocated for value addition to agricultural products for more profits. In this regard, Amstas Agro Processing and Exports Limited, owned by Sri Lanka investor in Buliisa district, has embraced the call by adding value to bananas, commonly known as matoke, and exporting it to the United States and Canada. During the tour of the 1 square mile banana plantation farm, Minister Alice Kaboyo for Luweero Rwenzori Triangle and Diana Mutasingwa, Minister in the Vice President's office, were impressed by the company's activities and pledged government support.
What I have noticed here is the value addition the President always talks about, that whatever we do, there should be value addition. You have seen the packing. They pack the matoke and export it. They freeze it and export it. So as leaders, when we see something like this, we believe that government can come out and we strongly advocate for value addition, and also people to come here and also learn.
For somebody to come and make this a whole square mile of matoke and add value, exporting it to the US, to Canada, I am very impressed. This is what the President tells the country every day. We can add value to all the products that we indigenous here in this country.
Minister Mutasingwa, also a woman representative for Buliisa district, appreciated the company for creating employment opportunities for Ugandans, especially the youth.
We want to thank the factory for giving our people jobs, because once our people get jobs, they have benefited from the factory. The people in the area have benefited. We don't want to have factories where people are not benefiting. That he has given our women something to do, something that can help them provide for their families.
Gladys Atim, the general manager of Amstas Agro Processing Exports Limited, says 4 containers of peeled frozen bananas are exported monthly to America and Canada.
Amstas Agro Processing and Exports started doing its exports in 2023 in March, and we have so far exported 24 containers of frozen matoke to the United States and Canada.
Like any other business, the company faces some challenges.
First challenge which I may talk, which we have, given the acreage of the farm, 642 acres, we use a lot of manure. And given the fact that we are organic certified, we do not use any other fertilizers. So we use manure, which we turn into compost, but there is shortage of manure.
Where we have a challenge is the road. If you can see from the main road up to here, when it comes to containers, which always take, we have a challenge of the road.
Currently, the farm employs over 700 workers, all Ugandans, both in agro and processing sector. Sada Mubale, Andrew Sebira, UBC News.
Now, the fight against illicit alcohol and its increasing dangers continues in the country. Key breweries continue to task government on losses, mainly in taxation.
Brewers have called on government to be intentional in fighting illicit alcohol that they say accounts for 60% of the market, posing risk to the population. This comes after an increase in the dangers created by such alcohol, including death.
Nile Breweries has been here for over 70 years, but AB InBev Group globally, which is the company we belong to, has been around for centuries, for hundreds of years. And we plan on being here for hundreds more. And we could only be here for hundreds more if we ensure a future with more cheers. And a future with more cheers is with a healthy society.
The Euromonitor illicit alcohol trade report in 2021 revealed that regulated alcohol trade accounts for 35% of all alcohol consumed in Uganda, while illicit alcohol accounts for 65%. Illicit alcohol is brewed outside the regulatory framework as approved by various regulatory authorities within and outside the country.
But the majority of this alcohol comes from bootleg, illegally imported, deviated ethanol that was supposed to go to other purposes such as sanitizers, etc., which is extremely harmful. And so, although there has been a little bit of an increase in alcohol consumption, what we should be aiming to do is to advocate for people to drink safe products.
The managing director now, Buliisa Limited, Adu Rando, affirmed the cracks of alcohol abuse scourge, saying that unless it is checked at all levels, meaningful positive results will not be realized in spite of the numerous efforts by all sector players. He added that the message is to everyone, including the 35% who take the regulated alcohol, advocating for good drinking habits and practices such as pacing yourself while drinking. The message comes with the launch of the annual Smart Drinking campaign, Drink Easy Easy, Nencha Lunaku, with a call on the public to focus on illicit alcohol consumption.
I'm very happy to be part of this project. I respect what Now Brewery stands for, because not so many companies are going to do something like this. People just want you to pay and just buy stuff, but they don't really care about your health. And here it shows that Now Breweries is ready to actually go out there and say, you know what, you're drinking my beer, but make sure you don't take too much. Just go easy, because tomorrow is another day.
Uganda is the largest alcohol consumer in East Africa, with an alcohol per capita consumption of 9.5 liters of alcohol per year, compared to Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda.
Now straight away into sports, Uganda's search for medals at the Paris 2024 Olympics continues this evening with action in the women's 10,000 meter final at the Stade de France. Saturday will then be the men's marathon before the women's marathon climaxes the 33rd Olympiad on Sunday.
Uganda's 10,000 meter ladies Sarah Chelangat and Aned Chemengi Chelangat are the next in action tonight at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
We pray for them, let them go and have fun, enjoy the race, run the race, and give glory to God. And if God allows, if time tarries, yeah, go for the win. If the win doesn't come, go for other medals. If other medals don't come, personal best.
Thereafter, focus switches to the road with an eagerly anticipated men's marathon on Saturday, in which Victor Kiplangat, Stephen Kisa and Andrew Kwemoe take part.
On Saturday, I believe that the weather may not be may not play a very big impact for our athletes, because they have been actually training in almost similar conditions. They have been doing conditioning, and of course, Victor and Kisa have been actually, and Andrew have been training in the hot places in Kapchora there, on the lowlands of Lambuli, Ngenge there, the lower side of Pen, even almost up to Namale. So I believe that they have really trained on those hot conditions. And even similar, our guys on Sunday, they have prepared themselves. And now, guys, you know, athletics is actually a step by step. And there are those who have come here for the first Olympics, and well, we expect, of course, that they do the best of their best.
Saturday action will also have the men's 5,000 meter final that has Oscar Chelimo before action closes at the games on Sunday with the women's marathon. Meanwhile, State Minister for Sports Peter Ogwang has visited Uganda's team camp in the Games Village to meet the athletics team. He discussed several issues ranging from women in sport, facilities and establishment of academies to ensure stability and continuity.
You've done your part at your level. So I want to thank you coaches with due respect. Entirely clap for your coaches because they have done whatever is within their means to help you be here, even despite hard conditions. Qualifying, UCU. How does a track of UCU be the one to bring you to Olympics? So these are some of the things which we must, and I'm happy that Beatrice will need time. And maybe when we come back, some of these things we need to, I want the Chief Dimisho to get us a report. We sit down and come up with a strategic plan for the Commonwealth and for the next Olympics. I am not going to wait.
Uganda has so far won 2 medals at the Games, a gold and silver by Joshua Cheptegei and Peruth Chemutai respectively.
Now the Premier League champions Manchester City will take on FA Cup winners Manchester United this Saturday at Wembley Stadium as both teams aim to begin their 2024-25 football season on a high.
Everyone expected it to be City's day, but it's Manchester United's day at Wembley.
The FA Community Shield is the traditional curtain raiser for football in England. This match happens before the start of the Premier League campaign. This time around, it will be a Manchester derby affair at Wembley Stadium this Saturday.
To give Manchester United the lead in the cup final.
Manchester United surprised their local rivals with a 2-1 victory in the FA Cup final less than 2 months ago.
United in the mood again here. Bruno for Mainu for 2-0. It is just remarkable.
Now they have a chance to make a double upset against a weakened City side that will miss most of their key players.
Try to give them the best rest as possible, as much as possible. We would like to give them more time, but it's what it is. But we gave them a lot, so all the players came back, and England players and Rodri will come back next week.
During a team meeting this week, United manager Erik ten Hag emphasized that it is vital for the players to replicate the form they displayed in the FA Cup final.
We always want to win. Also in all the friendlies, and it's about the trophy, yeah. And so we will put out a team that is very competitive to win this trophy. But yeah, it's also pre-season, and yeah, we don't go into big risks with players. That's also, I think, normal approach into this game.
Mashamiro Victor, UBC News.
Always a pleasure coming to you every Friday, bringing you what's making headlines. My name is Patricia Lukoma Mpango. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. It's a good night, but UBC TV continues.